Hello, fabulous superstar Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of November 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Synchronicity University is proud to present some absolutely incredible programs starting this month over at synchronicityuniversity.com with me looking at past lives in the astrology chart part 3. Mark Lawrenson, super popular superstar astrologer, teaching on the astrology of intimacy, and these incredible speakers only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links below. On the 5th of the month, we are going to have this month's full moon. This full moon takes place in a friendship part of your sky, having to do with your connections to others, whether it is acquaintances, very good friendships, or even other group dynamics or events. A full moon here tends to help you to be more clear about who certain people are for you and might in some way involve needing to be present with one of, if not more of, these types of people. There is a desire to connect with larger community in some way, and that can have you feeling that much more willing to get out there and to go out and connect with others. Again, whether it's people you're already well connected with or brand new people at that. This full moon is going to be speaking in harmony with Saturn, but also in harmony with Jupiter in your sign, which does suggest that the people you're connecting with now or reconnecting with now, well, it seems that much more meaningful to you. Now, if it is that you're connecting with people professionally, directly or indirectly, so directly would be things like conferences, gatherings, other networking events become possible here. It could be on social media, or it could be more spontaneously. It could be new people, but it's also possible that it is the established friendships you have that end up opening up bigger opportunity for you than you knew before. These become some possible scenarios. Stay anchored in that Jupiter. You are in an incredibly important moment for you. This larger transit of Jupiter in your sign started all the way back in May of this year, is going to take you right into June of this coming year, and it sets you up for a very powerful 12-year cycle. When we get important lunar energy like this, speaking with that Jupiter no less, it makes the experience of this time of change and openness and optimism that much more personal. Sometimes optimism makes no sense. Belief in yourself doesn't always make sense, but it is sometimes a necessary condition to open yourself up to actually seeing your potential. The willingness to see it can go a very long way. And it just might be right now that it is your friends, it is other people that you're connected with in a larger way, in groups individually or otherwise, that remind you something about that wonderful potential you hold and how well it is recognized, how much it is that you are, in many ways, ready for these bigger opportunities than you've known before. On the 7th of the month, Uranus will move back into a friendship part of your sky, out of the sign just before yours, where Uranus has had a little bit of a taste, has given you a little bit of a taste since July of this year. Uranus is going to wrap up some loose ends in April of next year, move back into the sign just before yours. Altogether, it is a nice long transit of about 7 years. So you're coming off of one larger 7-year transit and you're starting another one. This is the moment where the transitions are taking place. So you're wrapping up loose ends now, with Uranus returning to that friendship part of your sky, understanding whom it is that is really for you, what friendships are honest, which ones are authentic, and what alliances and connections to others are parts of opening up greater possibility to you as well. And so a lot can feel like it starts to come together, but more importantly, it is the realizations that you're having being part of that leap forward. That's the thing with Uranus. Uranus represents leaping into your future. And in that way, sometimes those changes can feel really big. It can feel as if life accelerates in the part of the sky that Uranus moves through. And this is a chance to see certain connections, certain alliances differently, if only for yourself, but also to open yourself up to deeper connections at the same time. Now, consider this. We are going to have on the 9th of the month, Mercury going retrograde, which means as we start this month, it looks as if Mercury is standing still in the sky at the height of his power. Mercury will go retrograde in a part of the sky that has to do with your daily life, including your work life. And so this is your clients, customers, coworkers, and those opportunities you thought were gone just might come back around in some way that takes you by surprise. And it is going to be on the 19th of the month when it is going to be Mercury that retrogrades into a heart-oriented part of the sky, inviting you to get honest about what you really want in your heart of hearts in every area of life, what happiness is for you, what fulfillment looks like for you. This is a very powerful, larger Mercury retrograde season. Mercury is speaking to a lot of the really big power players in the sky, one after the other, meaning that there's a lot of power and a sense of consequence and karma that is magnified at this time with this Mercury retrograde season. It starts with your daily life, what you're actually doing day in and day out, what you're good at, what you repeatedly do, being able to more accurately reflect on, evaluate, be honest with yourself about how you're actually living in a very real way. And that in turn will lead you to deeper levels of considering what is going to make you happy. The connection between the two, what the heart desires and how that shows up in the small moments as you move through your life, is part of the larger lesson of this Mercury retrograde season. So again, the retrograde begins officially on the 9th. On the 19th is when Mercury will retrograde, changing signs, moving into that heart-oriented part of the sky. And it is going to be on the 29th that Mercury will go direct. Once Mercury goes direct, whatever's taken place over the course of this month of November, well, it just might look very different, especially once it is that we navigate into next month. In an instant, it might feel as if some light comes on, and where it was you didn't realize what the heart was wanting, it becomes clear in some cases in an instant. On the 11th of the month, Jupiter in your sign will go retrograde and will be retrograde until we get into March of 2026, at which time Jupiter will go direct. And Jupiter, as I mentioned earlier, the bestower of blessings, a big part of not just the new moon energy that I spoke of earlier, but also the full moon energy that I'll speak about in just a moment that takes place on the 20th of this month. But Jupiter itself appears to be standing still throughout this month, is at the height of his power as a result of that standing still in the sky. And it is Jupiter that is going to invite you to look at what really needs to heal, what understanding of self is really trying to reach deeper levels so that it might bless your life for many years to come, one area of life after the other. But it's also the beginning of a period of time where you're invited to reflect on your blessings. What do they look like? How can you cultivate more of them? How can you cultivate the awareness of them? How does that help you move towards even more blessings? Where is it that perhaps you've been looking at life more small than you deserve to? That life is actually bigger, that your life is actually bigger. But conversely, Jupiter going retrograde is going to invite you to look at what really matters and how you can live it right now. And it just might surprise you. In this time of contemplation, the things that you thought were so important, they just might look very different as you're connecting to a deeper feeling of knowing what it is that truly matters to you. It's there that you get to decide if it's good for you or not, and to change it on a very core level if you decide that maybe that's not the way. It's one thing to say something is very important. It's another thing to live it. It's another thing to actually demonstrate it. And it is Those small moments as you move through your life that give away what it is that you really feel matters to you. And that connection there between what it is that life is showing you and what it is that you're actually doing and what it is you believe that you're actually doing, if anywhere there's a disconnect, this is where you start getting honest about it so that you can make that disconnect smaller or actually non-existent so that you feel you're able to live in a way that's a lot more consistent going forward from here. On the 20th of the month, we are going to have this month's new moon in that same heart-oriented part of the sky where part of the Mercury retrograde takes place this month. And this is a part of the sky that has to do with happiness, fulfillment, joy. It has to do with creative fulfillment, creative opportunities, gambling, windfalls are covered here as well, along with the children in your life. So do consider that your own fertility might be especially strong or at least unexpected in some way. Of course, there's lots of things you can do to have the energy not necessarily go in that direction. But for all of that, this particular new moon is happening across the sky from Uranus. So there is a surprise a minute, a shock a minute kind of energy. Whatever develops now feels unexpected and seemingly out of nowhere. But it is this new moon that is part of a grand trine, speaking in supreme harmony with Saturn and Neptune and Jupiter as well. So this larger, supremely harmonious connection playing out in the sky and involving Jupiter in your sign does suggest that this is a time of a lot of faith, a lot of happiness, a lot of hope, a lot of potential. I do like that Saturn is involved here because that'll help keep the energy a little bit more grounded or more measured, if you will. But at the same time, just know that something that you don't think is a gamble actually might be, or some gamble that you take really could go off in all kinds of directions. But that doesn't mean that the directions it goes off in aren't actually good in some way, aren't actually encouraging in some way. And so, still, be strategic, be smart, don't bet the farm. Mercury is retrograde at the time of this new moon. Outside of that, though, feeling as if some opportunity comes back around, allows a new beginning, might be part of the signature of this time. And it could just be at this moment that it feels as if where it was that you didn't really know what you wanted or you thought that you did in an instant, you're seeing it differently. And it accelerates your pathway towards the acquiring of that thing. This part of the sky having to do with the children in your life, but also you feeling like a big kid and the opportunity to do just that could find you. And this might also be a time when you are looking at taking something you consider a passion and turning it into an entrepreneurial endeavor. Where it comes to matters of love, consider that part of the Mercury retrograde season is going to take place in the part of the sky that we have that new moon in, and that has to do with what you want in your heart of hearts, yes. But in addition to all of that, has to do with romance, flirtation, and what the heart is truly wanting. The retrograde in this part of the sky takes place between the 19th and the 29th, at which time Mercury will go direct. When that direct happens in the last days of November, whatever it feels like is taking place before then or just before then, it might just look very different to you. Regardless of your relationship status, people that you were lovers with in the past or that you might have dated in the past or even were just interested in dating, they can pop up in sometimes uncanny moments. Moments that feel really unexpected, and yet they take you in directions of understanding that much more deeply what it is that you're really going for in the context of love. So for those of you open to meeting someone new, or I would even say, look, regardless of your relationship status, reconnecting with one of these people, feeling like they pop up out of nowhere becomes that much more likely, perhaps connected to modes or spaces of transportation, because that is part of the domain of Mercury in particular. And so we're looking at everything from train stations, subways, gas stations as well, airports as well. These are all spaces and places where feeling as if out of nowhere, this person just kind of pops up for your consideration. Now, outside of that, if it is that you are open to meeting someone new, you might end up connecting with someone very much like someone you were connected to in the past. And it helps you to understand that much more deeply what happened then, but more importantly, where you are right now in love and in matters of desire and what your heart is really wanting. For those of you just starting to date someone, consider that breakups that happen tend to not stay broken up. You are one of the signs that needs to be mindful of that tendency, especially at this time. And so we have here energies that say someone, this person that you're dating, misunderstandings could be there. They can go in either direction, meaning that those misunderstandings could have you saying, wow, this person really is not a good idea. But it could also be that you think you're very madly in love and you're overlooking some very clear signs that might be telling you something different, or at least might be inviting a more measured approach. And you get insights into that measured approach, but how it is that you're actually going to go forward with this person. I think that right now, during the retrograde in particular, just when you think you know, you really might not. Emotions are going to be running very high, especially in the days surrounding that new moon that happens on the 20th. That new moon is hand in hand with Mercury in the sky as well. So pace yourself and be yourself. You know, I like to say that, but also allow yourself the space to change your mind one way or the other. What seems so certain now might look very different once it is that Mercury goes direct. And for those of you in an established bond, for the overwhelming majority, this is a lot more about romance, wanting to feel connected on that more romantic level with your partner, especially if you've been with them for a long time and you feel like you've gotten into certain routines with them. That desire to connect on a heart level, or at least a romantic, more fun level, can feel especially high. So know that the desire is there, and it can be channeled in ways that are wise, that help the two of you feel that much more connected. There is going to be that small percent. If you felt for a while that you might not be in the right relationship for you, the joy, the heart connection is going to be what you are contemplating in some way now. And so remember, what you think is going on, what you think the disconnect is actually about, or the discontent is actually about, just might look very different once it is that Mercury goes direct. So pace yourself as you continue to learn more about what it is that your heart is truly wanting. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I'm going to say I love the energy of, well, I will say that new moon happening on the 20th of the month. It is one of a lot of luck, and the luck might feel like it comes out of nowhere. This is the part of the sky that has to do with the windfalls. It has to do with gambling, and yet still, it's a good idea to be mindful because Mercury is retrograde here. And if those windfalls, if that luck involves signing documents of any kind, that's where you do want to be a little bit careful with this, because what you think it is and what it actually is could end up being very different with Mercury retrograde in this part of the sky. And yet, under the light of that new moon, at the very least, there's going to be a surprise moment of a whole lot of happiness. And that could have you feeling especially fortunate. Thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate over at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expansive, exclusive video scopes each week for each sign for as low as just $3 a month. Now, higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, links below. A limited number of consultations are available with me between now and the end of the year, online on my website, NadiyaShah.com, and in person this month in Montreal, Canada. You can learn more and sign up for yours now, link below. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.